Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. It's a book that really lays out this powerful set of principles for, well, finding some order and meaning in what can often feel like a pretty chaotic world.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We've organized everything into three main pillars that really build on each other. First, we'll talk about mastering yourself. Then, we'll move on to navigating the social world. And finally, we'll get into how to confront reality head-on. The idea is that this whole process is the path to creating that antidote for chaos.
All right, so let's kick things off with the big problem. The core issue the book is trying to solve. The whole thing starts with this massive question. It basically frames life's inherent suffering not as some kind of mistake or a bug in the system, but as a fundamental feature of existence. It's the core problem that every single one of us has to figure out.
So what's the answer? Well, the book argues for consciously adopting these principles to create your own meaning and structure. The idea is that by taking on real individual responsibility, you can actually carve out your own little patch of habitable order from all the chaos that's just naturally out there.
So where do we even begin? Well, this first pillar is all about mastering yourself. It's about creating that internal order before you even think about trying to change the world around you.
This first pillar is built on 4 really key rules. They're all focused on how you handle yourself, your posture, how you care for yourself, how you measure your own progress, and how you manage your own personal domain.
Now, this first rule is so fascinating. Standing up straight is about way more than just good posture. It's about physically embodying the idea that you're willing to accept life's burdens. And get this, the book draws a parallel to victorious lobsters. Seriously! Their dominant posture actually boosts their serotonin and confidence. And the argument is, it works for us too. That posture sends a signal to your own brain that says, I'm ready to face whatever comes my way.
This right here illustrates a really strange paradox, doesn't it? We will follow a vet's prescription for our pets down to the last detail, but then we'll completely neglect our own doctor's orders. Why is that? The book suggests it's because we're just so aware of all our own flaws. So this rule is a call to action. Treat yourself like someone you were genuinely responsible for helping.
Okay, this one's crucial. The point here is to completely change who you're comparing yourself to. In a world where you can always find someone more successful, comparing yourself to other people is just a game you can't win. The only benchmark that really matters is you from yesterday. The real goal is just to make small, steady improvements along your own path.
This rule is a pretty direct challenge. Before you go out and criticize the world, you have to set your own house in perfect order first. And the starting point is simple, but man, it is not easy. Just stop doing the things that you know deep down are wrong.
Okay, so once we've started to establish some internal order, let's see how these principles apply to the social world. Our interactions with literally everyone around us. So this second pillar dives into 4 rules for handling your relationships with your friends, your responsibilities as a parent, and just how you communicate with people in general.
No, this isn't just about finding positive people. It's about recognizing that your social circle is this incredibly powerful force. The argument is that you should choose friends who actually support your growth, friends who won't just put up with your self-destructive habits. And that takes real courage, because a lot of the time it means leaving behind relationships that are comfortable but are ultimately just dragging you down.
This rule makes a really strong claim about being a parent. It says a parent's #1 job is to socialize their child. Discipline isn't about being cruel. It's an act of kindness that actually prepares a child for the world. Why? Because if a parent doesn't do it, the world will. And trust me, the world is often way more painful.
The big takeaway here is that a real conversation is a tool for mutual discovery. True listening isn't just about being quiet while you wait for your turn to talk. No, it's an active process. You have to assume the other person knows something you don't. And by genuinely trying to understand their point of view, you not only help them figure out their own thoughts, you might actually learn something new yourself.
All right, our final pillar. This one tackles the big stuff, how we should face the fundamental and often really difficult nature of existence itself.
These last 4 rules, they give us a framework for confronting life's suffering and its limits head-on. It's all about choosing meaning over just what's easy, truth over lies, and competence over false safety.
This slide just lays it out so clearly, contrasting 2 completely different ways to live. The path of expediency, that's the easy way out. It's all about impulse, short-term pleasure, whatever's convenient in the moment. But the path of meaning, that's about delaying gratification, shouldering responsibility, all to make things better in the future. The claim here is that pursuing meaning is the ultimate antidote to the suffering in life.
The argument here is that truth is everything.
It all starts with these little life lies, the small deceptions we use to try and manipulate reality. But over time, those lies eat away at your character. And here's the really high-stakes claim. When this becomes a habit for a whole society, a culture that accepts all that deceit, well, it becomes vulnerable to the biggest lie of all, totalitarian ideology.
And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the idea from Rule 11. Encouraging kids to take risks, like skateboarding, isn't about promoting danger for its own sake. It's about building competence. The argument is that becoming capable and strong by facing challenges is what makes people truly safe and harmless. It's the resentment and weakness that comes from being overprotected that can become truly, truly dangerous.
So what's the big takeaway here? How does all of this come together to help us deal with the daily struggles of life?
This final rule is just a beautiful metaphor. Look, life is full of suffering and tragedy that you just can't control. And this rule suggests that right in the middle of all that, you have to stay alert for the small moments of beauty and grace that pop up. Petting a cat is just a simple act of paying attention to the good that exists right alongside the hardship. And it's that awareness that can help, balance the scales.
And that leaves us with one final thought. These rules, they're not meant to be some abstract philosophy. They're practical tools for you to actually use. They're an invitation to take responsibility for your own life. So the real question isn't just, what do these rules mean? It's, what are you going to do with them?